If you have a fight approaching and you have under 10 fights experience and everybody's telling you, stay calm, don't worry, you're gonna be okay. Yes, guess what? You should be worrying, perhaps not about the things you think though. So today I'm gonna give you 6 things that should be on your mind to make sure you can perform fight night and have a fair contest. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabriel Varga. I'm a 6-time pro kickboxing world champion. You can check out some of my belts behind me. And today I'm here to help you prep up and win your upcoming fight if you don't have loads of experience. What is loads of experience? Well, I consider 10 plus fights to be a fairly experienced fighter. You will find during your progression from 0 to 10 fights, your skill level will improve dramatically. You're gonna get so much better, and your knowledge of the fight game and what you need to look for, what are red flags, is just gonna grow so vastly. But if you're under 10 fights, you are here for the perfect episode. One of the very first things that you should be aware of and concerned about when you're prepping up for a fight is having an appropriate opponent. At some point, we're gonna have to open up, just the way that I did when I fought for, where are my gloves? They're right here. When I fought for K1 against Lerdsila, I went in and I think I had something like 20 fights. He had something like 180. But at that point, you're going 20 fights. How much better am I gonna get with another 10 fights? You just gotta open up. When you're under 10 fights, it is so important to make sure you're getting appropriate opponents. Perfect example. You're on your first fight and you're fighting somebody with 3 fights and people are like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just 3 fights. Think of how good you would be 3 fights from now, all the knowledge you would have gained, how much calmer you will be. And calm equals the ability to think, which equals the ability to perform. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I have to fight somebody who's making their debut as well. And when I have 2 fights, the other guy has to have 2 fights or less. But be aware that experience in the ring is an advantage, and you don't want to be too disadvantaged against somebody with so much more experience than yourself. Now, the next thing I want you to be concerned about, especially under 10 fights, because it's a little harder to track your opponent's records, is people lying about how many fights they've had. This, you might think, is not common, but it absolutely is. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have heard somebody's record getting announced in the ring. Like it's fight night and I hear the announcer say, and with a record of 10 wins and 5 losses. And I'm going, wait, that adds up to 15 fights. And I know for a fact that dude has over 25 fights. And people lie to get opponents in the ring that are less experienced than themselves. Now, granted, this is a little harder to pull off nowadays because the internet, when I was first starting out with fighting, people did not put everything on social media and their records were not tallied quite as easy. And fights weren't up on YouTube. It's a little bit easier now to look and go, this guy's lying. He hasn't had 2 fights. Right here, I can see fight, 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 fight. You can Google them, find what events they were on. So a little bit more difficult, but people still do it. And you have to be on the lookout for it because you do not want to fall victim to somebody exploiting you because you have such a smaller record than them. People should be honest. They should be upfront. I have this many fights. You have that many fights. Do you want to take this bout? Basically, just don't trust people is my general advice. Do your own research, look out for yourself, and make sure you're fighting, as we already said in the last point, an appropriate opponent. The next thing which you should be worried about is getting the right weight class, signing up to compete in the correct weight class. For instance, many people do not understand how draining it is on your body to make weight. So if you're somebody like myself, right now I'm walking at about 160 pounds. If somebody said to me, well, Gabriel, all the pro MMA fighters are going to be cutting down to 140 or 135. You should do this. I'm just at myself, as a professional fighter, I'm going, nah, I don't want to do that. As an amateur fighter, absolutely not. You are going to set yourself up to be so drained before you even step in the ring that the chance of performing well is going to be terrible. My suggestion to you, if you're going, how much weight should I cut? 5 or 10 pounds under your walk around weight. This means that you're still gonna have to diet, you're still gonna have to cut some water weight, but at the end of the day, you should still be able to get in the ring and feel good. If people are giving you advice to drop from 160 to 140 or 135, you go, no, I'll do that in the future when things are super serious and I need every extra little bit of advantage. But early on, you should just put all your effort into training hard, building your skill set so you can beat other people with similar records just based off your superior skills, not an extra 5 pounds of walk around weight. And little bonus tip, be extra sure to make sure your opponent shows up and you actually see them weigh in. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen promoters say, oh yeah, your opponent is gonna weigh in an hour or already weighed in. You're like, but this is the official weigh-in, where is he? No. People have to show up on time, see them with your own eyes, otherwise assume they did not make weight. And a quick pause in between points. We're gonna thank the sponsor of this episode, XMartial. I am wearing XMartial tank top, XMartial joggers. These are just such good quality clothing. I've had each of these now for about a year and been through the washing machine after many workouts, holding up strong, looking awesome. You can head over to the link down below and use my promo code Gabriel Varga to save 10%. The next thing which I want you worried about and concerned about, but you can do something about this, again, is conditioning your body for impact. I have seen so many times where the superior fighter early on in the fight, at an amateur level, early stages of a career, gets broken down because they don't have the conditioning to take impact. Not necessarily to the head, but it just could be to the body, it could be to the legs. You need durability. How do you go about doing that? At the end of training sessions, have people come over and just chop your legs down, have them beat you in the body, have them kick you in the arms. Yes, you will get some of this in your sparring sessions, but it's not always enough. And guess what? You need to be tough in fight sports. You don't need to necessarily be the toughest guy in the world, but if you go in and you get hit and you right away start getting broken down, it's gonna be a fast night for you. You're gonna be out of there very quick. Durability matters. Make sure you put in the time and just get strong, conditioning wise. Another massive concern that I would lecture everybody on is not running out of cardio. You do not understand how tired you're gonna be because you have not experienced the adrenaline and the nerves which come competing in front of a bunch of people. They're all watching you, an opponent across from you. It's so different. The heart's pumping, your mouth goes dry. If your cardio is mediocre, yeah, it's gonna be a hard darn night for you. So you should be worried about having superior cardio. You can go out, you can do your runs, you can train hard in the gym. There's so many ways to take care of this. Just make sure you're being responsible and you're going in with what you think is great cardio, and you're still gonna be tired, but you wanna make sure that when you go back to your corner in between the second and the third round, that you can actually listen to them and you're not just there like, oh, I'm so tired. Doesn't matter how good the information is that you tell me, I can't do anything with it because I'm so exhausted. Go out there, do your work, put in the time, get the win, and then you don't have stuff to worry about. The last thing which you should recognize and you should be a little concerned about and wrap your head around before you step in the ring is people are actually trying to hurt you. It's not a game at the point where you get in the ring. I mean, it is to a certain extent because there are still rules, but I've seen a lot of people go in for their first fight, do years and years of training and be shocked. Like full on, you see their eyes open up like dinner plates, and after they're like, he was really trying to hurt me. And you're kind of like, what do you think was gonna happen? It's like, oh, I kind of thought it would be like a hard sparring session. No, it's not the same. This person comes out and you can see how ferocious they are. You can see them trying to really take your head off. And if you're not prepared for that, you're definitely going to be a step behind. You should be worried about that, and that should motivate you to train even harder. And once you recognize that and you put in the hard training, then when you get in there, you don't have to worry as much. But if you don't know that, or everything else which we talked about today, you're setting yourself up for disaster. If this is your first fight all the way up to your 8th, your 9th, your 10th fight, you want to look at all these points, fully understand them, and make sure that you are going in prepared so that these things do not hinder you. So those are my tips for all the fighters there who are prepping up, who are like, what are the things I should worry about? Those are the massive things. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. If you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.